Hello guys, today we are going to learn how to make animated masks in After Effects, and we are going to learn how to create them, how to animate them to make different effects, and also we're going to review some of the basic concepts that we already saw in class. At the end you will have something like this. This is a preview of what we are going to have at the end of this video. As you can see here, you will have these three parts of three different movies, okay, and we're going to play with the masks so they show only one single part of it, okay. And after that we're going to work with some text, and we're going to apply some effects. And the idea is that you will learn how to apply effects or filters to text files or to text assets that you can have inside After Effects, okay. So first of all, we're going to start creating a new composition. We're going to go to the new composition option and we are going to remember to select the basic presets that we have here. The web video 320 times 240. This is the preset we are going to use, and let's name the composition name as masks 1. Okay, the size, it's the proper size. The frame rate, it's also the proper size, the proper frame rate at 15 frames per second. The duration of the clip will be 30 seconds. It's okay. And the background color, I will use the background color as black. If you want to change it to any other color, you can do it, but I'm going to leave it as black. Okay, once I have my composition settings ready, I'm going to press the OK button, and I am going to be ready to start working with this. Before that, we need to import the assets that we're going to use for this edition. So you can find the assets in Blackboard in the course materials folder in second partial. There you will find the zip file for make your edition, okay, for make your special activity. Once you download and you will compress the zip file, you have to go into File, Import, and we are going to select from multiple files, and well, from the specific folder, these are the files we are going to import, okay. Just wait a little seconds. Okay, here. So from the AE images, we are going to import. We're going to import the church.mob. Okay. Also sky.mob, lake.mob. Also, we're going to import globo.png. Here I have some other files, but it doesn't matter. And finally, avion.png. Okay, at the end we're going to import 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 documents. Okay, so we're going to press the open button to import them. Remember, when you select the import multiple files option, once you import the first time you import the files, this window will reopen. Okay, so don't get confused, because you can think that, oh, there's nothing saved here, or no, I didn't import anything, so I'm going to import them again. Okay, so don't get confused. In Windows you will see a done button that you don't have it in Macintosh. In Macintosh you only have the open and cancel. In this case I'm going to press cancel button, and now I'm going to be ready. Okay, now let's start with the video clips. Okay, first of all, I'm going to start with the church.mob video clip. Okay, I'm going to drag it into the timeline, and when I have it here, okay, just let's give a few seconds here. Okay, it didn't pass. Okay, I'm going to import to pass it again. Okay, now here it is. Now I'm going to resize my video clip, okay, but I'm going to use the scale option. Okay, I'm going to, in this case, close the to make this to constrain the proportions, and I'm going to reduce the clip into the 50%. Okay, so this will reduce exactly to the to fit into the proper size of the of the of the composition. Okay, so now I'm going to minimize the information from church. Okay, and I'm going to reposition this video clip a little bit. Oh well, let's reposition it later. Okay, now once we have here, I am going to create a mask using the pen tool. Okay, in After Effects, the pen tool works exactly the same as in Illustrator and in Photoshop. Okay, you can create your nodes, you can have your control handlers to control the curve, etc., etc. It's basically the same. So I am going to select from the toolbar, I am going to select the pen tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a rectangle in this part, okay, to show try to show 1/3 of the screen size. Okay, if you make it bigger or smaller than the one third of the size of the screen, you can move it later. Okay, so before we start creating the mask that we are going to create, first you need to select in the timeline, you need to select the clip where that you're going to apply the mask, and then using the pen tool you are going to create it. The idea with the mask is that instead of erasing part of the image, you are just going to hide it. Okay, so in this case, when I close the mask, I will hide these other parts that I have outside of the mask, and I'm going to show only what it's in the inside of the mask. Okay, the same concept works as in Illustrator and in Photoshop. So once I create my mask, I am going to drag it, pressing Shift to move it in one single, in a straight line. I'm going to move it to the right side of the screen, and maybe this is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to select, to make a click here, the yellow lines that means the size and the position of the mask. Okay, so if you select the points, the nodes here, I can make it bigger. Okay, I can modify it. Okay, like if I was modifying the vectors in Illustrator. Okay, so that's the idea. It's just as almost the same as in Illustrator. Okay, so I'm going to reposition my first clip into this part. Okay, now I'm ready for the second one. The second one will be lake.mob. So I'm going to drag it. Lake.mob is going to be behind the first one, behind church. Okay, I am going to resize it the same way I did with the previous clip. I'm going to my options, transform, and in scale I'm going to reduce it to the 50%. Okay, remember to click the constraint proportions option. Okay, now once that it's in the proper position, I am going to make the second mask. So remember, before you create the mask, you have to select the clip that you are going to apply the mask. Okay, so I select again the pen tool, and I'm going to start creating here my nodes. Okay, remember we are dividing this in thirds. Okay, in this case, for example, this point it's a little more into the top from the other one. Okay, so using the move tool, I can select the point and I can move it to the specific position that I want. Okay, and another thing, this section it's bigger than the previous one. Okay, so I'm going to select the specific points, and then I'm going to reduce the size just a little bit. Okay, so the idea is that I have this second clip next to the first one. Okay, now I am ready for the third one. The third one is going to be sky.mob. I'm going to drag it into the timeline just like the previous one, and also I am going to reduce the size. So I'm going to use the transformation tool, scale, and I'm going to reduce it to the 50%. So as you can see, the transform options that you have here, they can be used not only for animation but to specify the settings of your clip, or maybe some image that you have. Okay. Also, you can animate those positions, the scaling, the position, the everything from the transform tool. But in this case, I am not animating it. I am just using to resize my video clip. And finally, I am going to create my third mask. Okay, so I go here. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, I create my mask. I will move it pressing spacebar. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than the space, and now I'm going to use the selection tool to arrange the points in the proper position. Okay, so this is how it has to finish for this first part. Okay, now we are ready to start animating the different video clips that we have here, to animate the masks. Okay, if I move the time handler, I will see the animation. Maybe it's in a low quality because of the video capturing from the screen capture, but the idea is that the videos will be moving, okay, all at the same time, and we are only seeing the part that we are allowing to see from the mask. Okay, so I'm going to start working first with the church video. So before that, I am going to hide the two other layers. So I'm going to go into the timeline, and next to the name, at the left side, there is an eye. Okay, so we're going to click it to hide the other two layers. Okay, now I'm going to have only the church layer. Now I'm going to maximize the information from church, okay, but I'm not going to go into the transform option, so I minimized this. I'm going to maximize the mask option from church mov, and I will see that I have a mask 1. Okay, sometimes you can use several masks in one single clip to do different things. Okay, in this case we are going to work only with one mask. I'm going to maximize the information for mask 1, and here I will have all the information that I can manipulate to the mask. To manipulate the shape of a mask, okay, to animate that option, we are going to use the mask path option. Okay, so remember, before you activate the timer click, okay, the timer button, first you have to position the time handler in the first position where you want to start the animation. Okay, so I go to time 0, and I'm going to activate the timer button for the mask path. Okay, and when I have this, I am going to select the 2 points from the top. That's the ones that I'm going to animate, and I'm going to drag them to the bottom. Okay, something like this. Okay, this is going to be the starting point for my animation. Now I'm going to go to second number 4. Okay, no, to second number 2. It's going to last 2 seconds to animate this option. Okay, so I'm going to go into second number 2, and here I am going to, if the nodes are not selected, I'm going to reselect them, okay, by clicking on the nodes, and then I'm going to modify them to do something like this. Okay, so you are going to appear all the video clip. The idea is that when you animate and when you move the time head, you will see that the mask is animating and it's showing more every time from the movie. Okay, so this is the first clip. We still have 2 more to work. So I'm going to minimize the information from church.mov. Okay, I'm going to minimize it. I don't need it anymore. And now I'm going to work with lake. Okay, now I'm going to set the visibility of lake. And now there is a problem, because I don't need this clip to be here in the first 2 seconds of the movie. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to drag it. I'm going to drag it so the starting point of this clip will be in second number 2. Okay, so although After Effects is not an edition tool, you can make some basic edition features like moving your clips and maybe reducing the time for the clips. Okay, but it's not as big, or the things that you can do here is not as big as, for example, in Premiere, okay, or in any other video edition software like Final Cut, for example. Okay, so once that I have the second clip starting in second number 2, I'm going to maximize the options, not the transform options, but the mask options. Also, I'm going to maximize the mask 1, and again, before you press the timer button, you have to be sure that the time head is in the proper position. Then I activate the timer button, and this is going to be my first keyframe. So I'm going to select the 2 nodes from the top. No, now I'm going to make it backwards. I'm going to make it from the top to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to make it be small to the top. I'm going to move into second number 4, and here I'm going to move these points again into the bottom part, so I will show the video, but now in this case from top to bottom. Okay, so the idea is that the mask will grow from the top to the bottom. Okay, this is all for the second clip. We can minimize the information for lake.mob, and we're going to activate the visibility for sky. Okay, and we're going to do something very similar. I'm going to maximize the information for sky.mob. I'm going to activate the information for mask 1, and before I activate the keyframe, first, like we did with the previous one, I am going to drag the starting point of the third video to second number 4. Okay, there's no point for this video to be at the beginning of the movie, so this is going to start living at second number 4, and here I'm going to set the timer button for my mask. Okay, so in this case I'm going to make a different transformation. I'm going to make this, and I'm going to drag it something like this. Okay, I'm just dragging one single point. Now I'm going to go into second number 6, and I'm going to drag that the same node that I moved into this corner. I'm going to drag it into this part. Okay, and I'm going to make it something like this. So the idea is that you can animate your nodes the way you want. Okay, it's not that mandatory that you have to select both of them and move it from top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, you can drag the nodes in any direction that you want. Okay, so we finished for the first part. Okay, we are ready for this. So the videos are showing and the masks are already animated. Okay, and now we are ready for the second part. Okay, I'm going to make a pass to connect the battery to the energy. So okay, the energy is ready now. Now this video will finish, the mask animation will finish in second number 6. So I am going to leave 1 second of the animation, and after that I'm going to start fading out my videos one by one. Okay, first the church, then the lake, and then I'm going to animate the mask to show the whole clip of the sky.mob. Okay, so I'm going to go into second number 7. Okay, I know that it's not marked in the timeline, but you can go between second 6 and second 8, and that will be second 7. Okay, and we're going to start working first with church.mob. Okay, I'm going to maximize the information, but now we're not going to work with the mask. We're going to work with the transformation. Okay, in particular with the opacity. Like in Illustrator and in Photoshop, you can change the opacity of each layer that you have in After Effects, and you can manipulate it from 0 to 100. Okay, and depending on the opacity that you have, it's how much of the image you will see. Okay, in this case I'm going to tell that in second number 7 I'm going to add a new keyframe. So I'm going to press the timer button for the opacity, and I will have my first keyframe here. Okay, now I'm going to tell that the fade out effect is going to be applied in 1 second. So I'm going to move the timer head into second number 8, and here I'm going to reduce the opacity to 0%. I can do this in 2 different ways. One, by clicking and dragging from left to right or right to left the values of the opacity, or I can just make one single click and then type the value that I want and press the enter key. Okay, so now I will see my fade out effect for this specific video clip. Okay, now there is no point that the video remains visible or remains active in this part, so I am going to cut a little part of the video. Okay, it's supposed that all the actions finishes in second number 8. Okay, so I'm going to drag the video from the right side and I'm going to reduce it. Okay, so I'm going to reduce it something like this. Okay, so everything that it's outside this part, it's not going to be visible. Okay, so the time for my video will end in this part. Once that I do this, I can minimize the information and I'm ready now to work with Lake. We're going to do something similar. Okay, we are going to go into the transform options. We are going to start from second 8 to second 9. Okay, so we activate the opacity at 100% at the beginning. Then we're going to go into second 9. Okay, I'm in second 9, and let's reduce the opacity to 0%. Okay, and once again, after that point, there is no reason for this video to exist. So I'm going to drag the information for the video to finishes on second 9. Okay, something like this. And finally, we're almost ready with the second part of the video clip. Now we're going to go into the sky.mob. Okay, in this case we are not going to work with the mask. We're going to work we're not going to work with the opacity. We're going to work with the mask. So I'm going to add a new keyframe in second number 8. In second number 9, I'm going to add a new keyframe by pressing the add or remove keyframe at correct time button. Okay, and from this point to second 11, okay, this transition will last by 2 seconds. And now I'm going to drag these 2 nodes and I'm going to make the mask to present all the video. Okay, so from second 9 to second 11 I'm going to present this. Okay, and after that the whole video is going to present. Okay, so we finished with the second part. Now I can minimize the information for sky.mob. Now let's make the plane to fly. Let's select from the project window, let's select the avion.png image, and let's drag it in top of sky.mob. Okay, I'm going to select the image from one of the corners and I'm going to reduce it the way we know to reduce a file or an image. Okay, so we are going to animate it. Okay, we're going to animate this plane and we're going to make it like if it's flying. Okay, I'm going to prepare the position and the okay, and the proper rotation for the clip. Okay, and my plane is going to start outside of the project window. Okay, another thing, my plane will start at second 11. Okay, there is no point for this to be previous this time. Okay, so the living time for my plane is going to start at second 11. Now at second 11 I'm going to show the settings for my avion, and I'm going to set the position timer button and also the scaling timer button. Okay, now I'm going to go to second 14. Okay, now second 15, it's okay. And we're going to drag our plane into this direction. Okay, and once it's in the proper position, I am going to scale it. Okay, I'm going to reduce the size. Maybe you will have to reposition your plane once you scale it, okay, but doesn't matter, you can do it. Now the idea is that the plane will show and you will see something like this. Okay, I know it looks fake, but it's more realistic than, well, if it just passes at the same size at the beginning and at the end. Okay, and after this point there is no reason for the plane to exist, so I'm going to shrink the time for the plane, okay, to finishes in second 15, and after that I'm going to minimize the information for avion.png, and I'm going to maximize the information for sky.mob. Okay, I'm going to minimize the information for mask and show the information for transform, and in this point in second 15 I'm going to activate the timer button for opacity. Now from second 15 to second 16 we are going to reduce the opacity from 100 to 0. Okay, so we're going to make the fade out like in the previous clips. Okay, so I have something like this. Okay, so also, like in the previous one, I am going to shrink the time for the clip so it matches to second 15. Okay, and the second part of my video is now ready. Okay, we are going to see something like this. Now maybe it's a proper time for you to save your project. Remember, to save the project you have to just press Ctrl S or go to File, Save, and here you have to give a name to the project. Okay, so if the After Effects crashes, then you won't lose your information. So in this case I'm going to save it as example tech. Okay, and I'm going to save my project. Now once that I have this project saved, I'm going to start working with some text. Okay, so I'm going to create a new text layer. Okay, to do that we have to use the text tool. Okay, the text tool is like in the previous tools, it's very similar to Illustrator and Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to select the text tool and I'm going to make one click on my my project window, and I'm going to type something like have a safe trip, or any phrase that you want to put. Okay, and once you type this you can select it with the selection tool and you can reposition it to the proper location where you want it to appear. Okay, now from the window menu you can activate the character panel. The character panel is the one that I have here, and like in Illustrator, here you can change from the different fonts that you have installed, and you can manipulate all the specifications for the text box that you have here. Okay, in this case I'm only going to change the font. Okay, I'm going to change it to maybe the Kino type. Okay, to have it something like this. Maybe I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and also I'm going to change the color. To change the color you have to select first the text, then go into these parts. Okay, and the default color is white. Okay, so I'm going to make a single click here and I'm going to make it in red color. Okay, you can do it in any other color that you want. Okay, so my text, the timing for my text will start at second 17. Okay, so I'm going to move this to second from 16, yes, 1 second without anything. Okay, so in second 17 the text will start, and we're going to apply an animate a filter into my text. Okay, like in Photoshop, you have a filter panel here, an effects panel, where you can apply the different filters that you have. Some of them are very similar than the filters that you have in Photoshop. Some of them are not. Okay, so but the idea is that you can animate all of them. Okay, so in this case, I am going to use the blur from the blur and sharpen menu. I am going to use the Gaussian blur effect. Okay, the Gaussian blur effect, it makes like a blur effect into your text or into the image that you apply. Okay, and at the beginning, the blurriness effect is going to be in 0%. I'm going to I'm going to increase the size of this. Okay, so I will have a better side of it. Now, when you apply an effect, a filter, into any image or into a text, like in this case, when you maximize the properties of the clip, you will see an option that says effects. Okay, in this case, you can if you maximize it, you will see all the effects that you have applied into the text or into the specific clip. You can use more than one effect into one single clip. In this case, we are going to use only one. So if I maximize the Gaussian blur options, I will see the options for this specific effect. So if I maximize the blurriness option, I will see something like this. Okay, so I'm making my text all blurry. Okay, so the idea is that we are going to make a fading effect for the text. At the same time, we are going to make the blurriness effect. Okay, so like if it's entering into focus. Okay, so we are going to combine the options from the effects and from the opacity, and we're going to make we're going to start the timer button in this part, and also for the blurriness in this part. Okay, the blurriness I'm going to start it in maybe 50%. That's too much. Okay, but doesn't matter. And the opacity will start in 0%. Okay, now in second 18, I'm going to change the opacity to 100. Okay, I'm going to present the text, and it is going to be until second 19. Okay, where I'm going to reduce the size of the blurriness. Okay, I'm going to reduce it into 0. So this effect will present the text. So first it will show it. Okay, and then you will see the blurriness effect. Okay, then we are going to leave this for 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to move the time head until second number 21. Okay, and here I'm going to set in the blurriness, I'm going to set a new keyframe with the add or remove keyframe button. Okay, so from this point, and in 1 second, in second 22, we are going to maximize the blurriness effect to 50% again. Now I'm going to drag it to second 53. If you put a keyframe and you want to relocate it, you just have to click it and drag it to the position that you want to have it. Okay, so it's not big deal. You reposition it to the proper position, and I'm going to do something like this for the opacity. Okay, from second 22 to second 23, I'm going to reduce the opacity for this. Okay, so you will see something like this. Okay, now all my actions finishes in second 23, so I'm going to reduce the time life for my text clip to second 23, and the whole clip is going to finish in second 24. Okay, I know that since the beginning we set the duration of the composition to 30 seconds, but anytime that you want you can add more time or less time. Okay, so to modify the composition settings, you can go into the composition menu and you can go to composition settings. Okay, so I am going to reduce the duration of the composition into, I'm going to set it into 24 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to make the OK button, and now this will reduce. So when we render the final movie, you will render only the specific duration of the composition, no more and no less. Okay, so it's important that you set the duration of a specific time that you need. Okay, so I'm going to save it again. Okay, and now I am ready to start my render process. So to start the render process, remember you have to go into composition, and we're going to select the add to render queue option. Okay, from the add to render queue option, you will have all these settings that you have here. Here is the name of the composition that you want to render. Remember, the render process is to create the final movie with all the effects, with all the transitions, everything that you make. Okay, so in Windows especially, you have, before you can create the render, you have to set the output folder. Okay, and you have to press here. It is very common that you will see a legend that says not defined yet or something like that. So you have to press into this part. Okay, and from here you have to select the specific folder where you want to save your final video, your final composition. Okay, so I select the same AI images folder. Okay, and also we are going to change the format. Remember, for us, we're going to use FLB video. Okay, maybe for other people outside, this video codec is not the proper one, but for us it's the one we are going to use. Okay, so I'm going to go where it says lossless, and I'm going to select here, and from the different codecs, from the different formats that I have here, I'm going to select. If you are using Windows, by default you will see the AV setting by default. If you are using Macintosh, you will see QuickTime by default. Okay, but we are going to use FLB video. Okay, and this is the only setting we are going to change from here. In the video output, we're going to use RGB, millions of colors, etc., etc. We're not going to resize it, we're not going to crop it, so we are going to change only the format. Okay, so I press the OK button, and once I have these settings, I can start the render process. Before I do that, I'm going to save it again, and I'm going to press the render button. Okay, maybe this will take a few moments, okay, to finish the render process. Okay, in this case, guys, the render process could take you a few minutes, a few seconds, or maybe a lot of hours, depending on the length of the duration of the composition and how many effects are you applying into this composition. Okay, if you exaggerate with the number of effects, with the number of things that you are creating here, then the render time is going to be a long time. It's going to take a long time. Okay, so in my case, my render finishes right now. Okay, so I hear the chirp that tells me that the render process is finished. So I'm going to go into my AE images folder. Okay, and from here I'm going to select I'm going to look for my movie. In this case is mask1.flb, and I will be able to open it in my case because I have the Adobe Video Player. I will be able to open it in that program. Okay. Okay, let's see if QuickTime Player recognize this codec. Okay, I don't think so, but let's see. Okay, it's converting the movie. It will take a little while to do it. but don't worry, I will be able to check your final files. Okay, okay. QuickTime Player is not compatible, but okay. You can be trust me when I'm telling you that your video is ready. Okay, so in FLB format, you can send it to me, and well, I will be able to check it. So save your document, your final video, the one that you have to send into Blackboard. Save it as mask1 underscore and your student number. Save it in FLB format. The format, the file size, it's not going to be too big. In my case, it's 1.7 megabytes. Okay, it's too short. Okay, it's too small, so you can upload it without any problems, without any complication into Blackboard. Okay, so thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.